Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video we're going to talk getting started with Warhammer 40k boarding actions, a brand new way to play Warhammer 40k in the depths of space hulks, hive cities, starships, and a whole manner of other places that really do suit this rule set. Now in this video we're going to take a look at Aeldari Craftworld and have a look at how we can start an Aeldari Craftworld army, along with how we muster a boarding action, all the rules adaptations and rules changes that the Aeldari have within this game mode, because the game mode does require some changes for it to work in a more balanced sense. Now we'll then look at a couple of units to get started with for the faction before taking a look at some other units to expand upon after those first couple of initial purchases. We'll then finally finish off the video with a little sample 500 point army list, which is the perfect size for a boarding action for you to use, hopefully as some inspiration for starting your own boarding action force for the Aeldari Craftworlds. And so, to begin with, mustering a boarding action. These are the rules that sort of modify how you can build your boarding party. So first of all, this is pretty standard for all armies in the game. All Craftworld units in your boarding patrol must be from the same Craftworld. There's no mixing and matching. Everything just has to be the same. So this does mean, if you are playing in particular sub-factions, you're going to need to, be in Earnden to make sure Prince Uriel has the Earnden keyword and all that sort of stuff. Now, you can include one heavy support slot, which normally you can't. Normally, you're only allowed your elite troops and your HQ choice. But as long as that heavy support choice is a unit of Dark Reapers, you can include one. Storm Guardian and Guardian Defender units can include a Serpent Scale platform and a heavy weapon platform as normal, even though this would make their starting strength potentially go to 11. Now, normally you're only allowed a starting strength of 10, then split into 2 5 model boarding parties, but in this time you would simply split 1 into 6 or 1 into 5 and still be allowed to take your nice support weapon platform. A Warlock's unit can have a starting size of between 1 and 5, and the rule requiring such a unit to be taken at its minimum size does not apply. So you can literally take a 1 to 5 model unit of Warlocks, doesn't matter what size it is, it'll obviously not split up, but it will be a single unit of the size that you decide. You can only upgrade one Aspect Warrior unit in your army to have an Exarch power, so this becomes really important. Picking which Aspect power really is the most important to you. Models with a favoured Cane ability cannot be given enhancements, and units cannot have the Hunter of Ancient Relics Craftworld attribute. This is one of the far-flung Craftworld attributes, and this effectively means you can have models count as, objective secured and stuff like that. Can't happen. And you cannot include any Harlequin units in your force either. Now, rules adaptation-wise. First of all, Eldar do not make battle-focused moves in boarding actions. This is certainly a balance point. I mean, could you imagine being able to move out, shoot from a wall, from, the corridor, and then jump back behind the wall, not be targetable? It definitely is a balance point. Phoenix Lord models cannot perform the secure sight action. When an enemy model makes a ranged attack against any model with a Gloomfield or the Fieldcraft or Masters of Concealment Craftworld attributes, that unit is treated as having cover against the attack if the attacking model is more than 6 inches away. This is sort of standard on how it works. And when determining the number of dice to retain the Strands of Fate ability, a boarding action game is treated as the same size as a combat patrol, which makes sense, 500 points, 500 points, perfect sense there. When an enemy unit is selected as the target of a charge by a unit containing models equipped with Howling Banshee's Mask or a Terror's Lament, if that enemy unit is set to defend, then it's no longer in that state. And lastly, the Executioner's Psychic Power will have a Warp Charge value of 9. And so, where to get started with the Aeldari? I think an Autarch for me is a fantastic place to start your Aeldari force. First of all, you're going to get, a solid fighter in melee, really only lacking in the strength and toughness department, 5 attacks, 5 wounds, weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+, all nice there. He does have access to some really cool weapon options like the Scorpion Chainsword. The Starglaive is a particular favourite of mine though, for times 2 strength, -3 AP, which really does help on that strength part of his game where he is lacking. And then can have some really interesting upgrades as well. The Howling Banshee Mask as well, as we talked about at the opening. If you've got, the Howling Banshee Mask, you can get rid of Set to Defends and stop Overwatches. Manda Blasters, on the other hand, allow you to do an additional mortal wound, which is pretty cool. He can't take his Sweeping Hawk Wings or Autarch Jump Generator in a boarding action, obviously, because you're not allowed to take jump troops. But he does have, a couple of cool abilities as well. First of all, Path of Command. While the friendly Craftworld core unit is within 6 inch, they can reroll a hit roll over 1. His Force Shield gives him a 4-up invulnerable save, and you can also use a reroll stratagem twice per game, or twice per phase, which is pretty nice. Now, to go along with him, I definitely think the Howling Banshees really suit boarding actions. First of all, their Howling Banshee mask is just really powerful in this setting, like being able to stop those set to defend and overwatches. Meanwhile, you've got Banshee Blades at +1 strength, -4 AP for strength 4 attacks coming out of them, with 3 attacks per model and 4 on the Exarch. And then you've also got, a couple of cool different weapons on the Exarch, like the Executioner for a 2 damage weapon, which can be great at taking out Marines at +2 strength, -3 AP. But if we're looking at maybe some other units to start adding after those initial units, definitely going into our troops and looking at some of these, for me, it is Storm Guardians that stand out. These are really cheap units. It's going to get you a decent amount of troops on the board with a good variety of weapons. You can have up to 2 of the different weapons in their unit, so you can have 2 of the Flamers for every 10 model. You can have 2 of the Guardian Fusion Guns and 2 Power Swords in there as well. Storm Blades, each time a model and unit makes a melee attack against units within range of objective markers, you can reroll the hit rolls of 1. And you've also got that nice Serpent Shield in there for a 5-up invulnerable save against range attacks. And each time a range attack is made against this unit, a modified wound roll of a 1 or 2 of that attack always fails, irrespective of any abilities it may have. They're just going to give you a nice lot of versatility. I like the idea of the Flame, the Fusion Gun, and the Power Sword all in the single squad. They're dirt cheap for troops as well. And so another unit I like the look of are the Striking Scorpions. Scorpion Chainswords are pretty nice. You get +2 strength, so this is really where the difference is in Banshees. Not as much AP with only AP -1, but they do get a bonus extra attack, and every time a modified 6 to hit is rolled, they score an additional hit with Sustained Assault rule. Now, they've got Manda Blasters for a little mortal wound damage in there as well, and the Sergeant, once again, the Exarch, has a ton of different weapon options. Biting Blades, Scorpion Claws for effectively a 2 damage Power Fist on him, and it also has, an Assault 2 Shuriken weapon profile for shooting as well with that Scorpion's Claw. The last unit to talk about, we might as well talk about the Dark Reapers, the unit that's special that we can take. They're going to provide you with a nice, decent shooting unit. 48 inch in a boarding action game is insane for range. They can shoot wherever they want, wherever they can see. Nice long tunnels that can hold, the ground well. They've got the inescapable accuracy, where each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack, the targets don't get dense cover against them, which is pretty cool. But other than that, they are, going to be able to fire a nice variety of different weaponry, with either the Sunburst or Starburst shots coming out of that Aeldari missile launcher on the Exarch, or the Reaper launcher having the Starshot and Starswarm missiles as well. And so this is the force that we've gone for the Aeldari. Now, we've chosen here to go with building our own Craftworld. I think this, for me, is really going to be the best way to go about it. You do not get all the rules from a bunch of the others. Built-in, I think, when you start going, Aspect Warriors are definitely something that's going to be really nice inside a boarding action. You're not actually going to get the best rules because it focuses around battle focus, and so you lose that. So I think Farflung Craftworlds, for me, this is where we go. Remembering you can't take Hunters of Ancient Relics, which is, being able to perform actions and still shoot. That's not available. It would be amazing if it was. But we've gone for, first of all, Savage Blades as our first one, where each time a model makes a melee attack, if that unit's charged, was charged, or performed heroic intervention, +1 AP. Super nice. And then we've gone for our second one, which will be Vengeful, where each time a model with this attribute makes an attack with a melee weapon, a modified hit roll of a 6 scores 1 additional hit. I know this is already a rule we've got with Striking Scorpions, but it really does stack up nice on the other units we have available to us as well. If you're maybe looking for something else that might be a little bit useful, Warding Runes is nice for a 6-up invulnerable, or even something like Swift Strikes as well, where in your shooting phase, each time a unit with this attribute is selected to shoot, unless that unit fell back, they can counter remaining stationary. Particularly good for if you're including something like Dark Reapers in your unit, in your army. Now, like I said, we've got our HQ. He's going to be our Autarch, Howling Banshee Mask, Shuriken Pistol with Stark Glaive on him for that nice little bit of extra power. And then we've got a troops unit of Storm Guardians, 10 strong, with all the upgrades, so the 2 Flamers, 2 Power Swords, 2 Fusion Guns in there. And then we've got the close combat weapons on the other Storm Guardians. Our elites is where, the options come in. Dire Avengers, I think, provide us with a decent shooting unit. We've gone for Stand Firm on them. This gives us another objective secured unit and 2 Avenger Shuriken catapults in there. Howling Banshees are going to have the Exarch with the Banshee Blade, and then the Striking Scorpions in there with a Biting Blade on the Exarch as well. Now, definitely, if you probably want to drop one of the units, I think Scorpions for me get dropped, and maybe Dark Reapers take a spot. But You've definitely got a lot of combat. You've got some good shooting in those Guardians who will be able to provide a decent amount of shooting, and the Dire Avengers will be able to put down a decent amount of fire for this size game. If you've played some games with the Eldar in boarding actions, let us know your thoughts down in the comments below and what you plan to do with them. And so that's the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And if you did enjoy the video and you want to say something, leave us a comment down below and let us know what you thought. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our great little community here at Cinderful Gaming, we have a Discord server linked down in the video's description. Also down there in the video's description are the best ways to help support the channel if you'd like to do so. You can either grab yourself some merch via our Teespring or Ko-fi stores, which are linked down there, or our Patreon and YouTube members where you can help support the channel, get yourself a shout out, and indeed if you're a YouTube member as well, get yourself some cool emotes to use in our live discussions or indeed on your comments on YouTube. As a special thank you to all our Patreon and YouTube members, we'd like to give you all a shout out. So thank you to our Patreons, Christian Weir, Soren, Kenny Lowe, Outer Shot First, Andrew Bowen, The Rising 8, Q Dynamic, Anthony B, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Benjamin Swallows, Red Martin, Iron Grinch, Nicholas Conomos, Colorblind Magic, and Daniel Etherington, and to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Ronya, Lockloric, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariane Edwards, Revenar, Pink Nico Fire, Robin Mankiller, Monty's Tabletop Terrain, John Castle, Davis Weir, James South, James Tillman, and Dylan Areno. And lastly, a special thanks to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork you see here for the channel, and to everyone who helps run our Discord server, all our mods, you're fantastic, and everyone who makes it a great place in there as well, and indeed to everyone who helps come and do the battle reports, and to all our sponsors on the channel as well. Thank you all once again for watching, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.